Pam Bondi, known for her legal prowess and her fearless demeanor as Florida's Attorney General, had faced countless challenges in her career. From high-profile criminal cases to controversial political battles, she was no stranger to intense scrutiny and danger. Yet nothing could have prepared her for the chilling case of the Blackwater Mansion, a legal battle that would drag her into the depths of fear, despair, and horror. The story begins with an ordinary day in her Tampa office. Pam was reviewing her calendar when an unmarked envelope appeared on her desk. No one had seen who left it, and the security cameras showed nothing unusual. Inside the envelope was a single sheet of paper with the words, "Justice is blind, but the dead see everything." Pam dismissed it as a prank until the file landed on her desk later that afternoon. The case involved a lawsuit filed by the descendants of the Blackwater family against a real estate developer who planned to demolish their ancestral home. The family claimed the mansion was cursed, and any disturbance to the property would unleash unspeakable horrors. Pam didn't believe in curses. She believed in facts, evidence, and the rule of law. But this case would challenge everything she thought she knew. Pam decided to visit the mansion herself, accompanied by Rachel, her loyal paralegal. Driving up to the property, the air grew heavy with an oppressive stillness. The mansion loomed in the distance, its decaying structure almost appearing to breathe. The iron gates creaked open on their own as if inviting them in. The house was worse up close. Vines crawled up its cracked walls, and the windows seemed to stare back at them. As Pam and Rachel entered, the temperature plummeted. The smell of mildew mixed with something metallic lingered in the air. Inside, the mansion was a time capsule. Furniture, long covered in dust, sat eerily undisturbed. Family portraits hung crookedly on the walls, their eyes seeming to follow the two women. Rachel shuddered as they climbed the creaking staircase. They entered a study where they found a diary belonging to Eliza Blackwater, the last known resident. The diary contained ramblings about voices in the walls, visions of shadowy figures, and cryptic warnings about never disturbing the house's rest. While Pam skimmed through the diary, a loud crash echoed through the mansion. They rushed to the source, a grand dining room where the heavy oak table had been flipped over, shattering the ornate china. There was no one there. The haunting didn't end when they left the mansion. That night, back at her apartment, Pam began to hear whispers. At first, she thought it was her imagination, but the whispers grew louder. They called her name, over and over, in voices that didn't belong to anyone she knew. Rachel fared no better. She called Pam at midnight, sobbing.
"They're here. They followed us home."
Who?
"The shadows."
The next morning, Pam arrived at work to find Rachel's desk empty. Calls went unanswered. Pam drove to Rachel's apartment and found the door ajar. Inside, the furniture was overturned, and the walls were covered in scratches as if something with claws had been there. The words, "Bring her back," were scrawled across the bathroom mirror in what looked like blood. Rachel was gone, and Pam was more determined than ever to uncover the truth about the mansion. Pam returned to the mansion alone, armed with the diary and a flashlight. The house seemed to welcome her back, the front door swinging open on its own. As she walked through the darkened halls, the whispers returned, louder and more insistent. The diary hinted at a hidden chamber beneath the mansion where Eliza had conducted rituals to protect her family's fortune. Pam searched for hours, finally finding a trapdoor hidden beneath a rotting rug in the library. The chamber below was a nightmare. Bones littered the floor, and a grotesque altar stood in the center, surrounded by melted candles. Symbols were carved into the walls, pulsating with an unnatural light. As Pam approached the altar, the shadows in the room began to move. A figure emerged, a woman with hollow eyes and a twisted smile. It was Eliza Blackwater. Eliza spoke without moving her lips, her voice echoing in Pam's mind. "You shouldn't have come back," she said. "The house is alive, and it feeds on fear. You are the feast tonight." Pam fled the chamber, the shadows chasing her through the halls. The house seemed to shift and change, trapping her in a maze of endless corridors. The walls bled, and the furniture hurled itself at her as she ran. A chandelier crashed inches from her, sending shards of glass into her arm. She finally made it to the front door, but it wouldn't budge. The whispers turned to screams, and she felt icy hands grabbing at her ankles. She screamed in terror as the shadows enveloped her. In a moment of clarity, Pam remembered the journal's final entry. The only way out is through sacrifice. She realized the house demanded a soul to let her go. Pam returned to the chamber, knowing what she had to do. She recited an incantation from the diary, summoning the entity that controlled the house. The shadows coalesced into a monstrous figure with glowing red eyes and razor-sharp claws. "I offer myself," Pam said, tears streaming down her face. The entity paused, its glowing eyes narrowing. At the last moment, Pam threw the diary into the altar's flames. The chamber erupted in light, and the entity let out a deafening scream. The house began to collapse, and Pam ran as fast as she could. She barely made it out before the mansion crumbled into a pile of ash. Pam survived, but the experience left her scarred, both physically and emotionally. She resigned from her position and moved out of Florida, hoping to leave the horrors behind. But the haunting wasn't over. Late at night, she would hear whispers. Her reflection in the mirror would sometimes smile when she didn't. And on stormy nights, she swore she could see the mansion standing in the distance, waiting for her to return. The case of Blackwater Mansion remains one of Florida's darkest legends, a chilling reminder that some doors should never be opened.